So this has been making the old rounds on the interwebs. Now, Alyssa Milano. I remember back in the 80s when she was on Who's the Boss. She was like a plucky kid of a single father, and she was just this, fish out of water sort of, actor. Okay. Then after that, she kind of didn't do anything, and then she went on to Charmed, and then disappeared again. Until it was politically expedient for her to come out and get all, quote-unquote, woke. Especially the Kavanaugh thing. Ugh. It was terrible. But anyways, so I kind of wanted to... Some people already come out and express their opinions on this and what she's saying, what she's doing. So I kind of wanted to... I picked 4 different news sites, how they... What I want to do right now is how they report on it. So we're going to start off with USA Today. This is by Sarah A. Monisco? Whatever. Anyways, the headline is, Alyssa Milano calls for a sex strike to protest anti-abortion laws, gets slammed on Twitter. Kind of a... I think you know why I'm laughing about that. But let's break down the title here a second. Alyssa Milano calls for sex strike to protest anti-abortion laws. The funny thing here about that is that you wouldn't need an abortion if you don't have sex. When you kind of like break it down a little bit. So it's kind of like I'm not going to use a towel because I'm not going to take a shower. Okay. And then she gets slammed on Twitter, meaning she receives criticism. I mean, I think would have been a better title to that. Alyssa Milano calls for sex strike to protest anti-abortion laws, receives criticism on Twitter. I think that would have been a better way. Says Alyssa Milano is calling for followers to join a sex strike to protest. Okay, and the responses have been great about that. The actress and activist, 46, took to Twitter late Friday to share her idea, which comes after one of the most restrictive abortion laws in this country. The nation was signed by Georgia early this week. The heartbeat bill, blah, blah, blah. About 6 weeks in pregnancy if you hear a heart. Okay. Here she goes. On her Twitter. In quote, our reproductive rights are being erased. Not really, if you're in Georgia, perhaps, but you can go to another state. But anyways, until women have legal control over our own bodies, which you do, we just cannot risk pregnancy. Okay. Join me, all caps, by not having sex until we get bodily autonomy back. I'm calling for a sex strike. Pass it on. Uh-huh. Okay. But if you don't agree with Alyssa Milano, and you don't like her politics, you don't like her personally or politically, spiritually, etc., then who's this message really to? Is it to other leftists, progressives on the left side of the political spectrum in this country, the United States, to not have sex with their partner, which more than likely is some soy boy laden, woke, thin-armed, flannel wearing hipster. So who are they really? Who is this really? I don't know. I don't know who the audience for this is, because if you're a conservative woman or on the right side or libertarian, maybe you're an anarchist, to be honest, and you don't care one way or the other what people say. You do what you want. Who's going to listen to this? Continue on. The tweet has garnered a lot of attention with over 17,000 likes and 14 1,000 replies, causing the hashtag to trend on social media platform on Saturday. Okay, as you can see where that tweet is. In the follow-up post, Milano reiterated her motivation behind the strike. Quote, "We can love sex and fight for our bodily autonomy. There are lots of alternatives to cis men." There we go. I'll continue on and I'll go back to cis. "Protect your vaginas, ladies. Men in positions of power are trying to legislate them." What? Cis men. Cis men. I despise when people think they're all woke and go, "You know what? I'm going to call you just run-of-the-mill people who don't claim anything. You're cis men. We're not men anymore. We're cis men." Bite me, Alyssa. Protect your vaginas? What? Men in positions of power are trying to legislate them. What? No one's trying to legislate your vagina, Miss Milano. Trust me, no one is. So the attention wasn't all positive. How about that? Many tweets about Milano's strike have found fault with her message. Quote, "Please stop feeding the narrative that women are providers and men are consumers of sex." One person tweeted, "Bribing men for equal rights with access to our bodies is not how feminism works." I kind of agree with that. That is a well thought out tweet. Yeah. There's another tweet. Quote, "This makes it seem like sex is something women do as a favor to men." Only if you're married. Anyways, it also furthers the misogynist, oh God, here we go, theory that women should be ashamed for liking sex at all. What? "Sorry, at Alyssa Milano, but I hate this." Here's another one. Quote, "Isn't this called abstinence? And this is exactly what conservatives wanted." Ding. Others supported the strike. Quote, "If they wanted to control our bodies, reproductive organs, then we should deny sex to cis men." Again, if you're on the left side of the political spectrum, which I assume this is the target audience, you're not going to be banging conservative, right of center, libertarian, anarchist men. They don't want to. Why would they waste their time with you? And honestly, if I wasn't married, I wouldn't date somebody on the left side of the political spectrum. You know how just without getting to know the person, but just knowing how they act on Twitter and social media, etc., why would you want to waste your time with them? You wouldn't. It says, quote, "Join us in helping cis men feel physical consequences of our reproductive rights being systemically eliminated." Again, only if you're in Georgia, if you actually want to take it to its far-off conclusion. I don't want to read any comments. So, go to the AV Club. This is by William Hughes. Here's the headline. Alyssa Milano calls for sex strike to protest Georgia oppressive new abortion law. See, you know where they're going with this. This is already a bias. This is a biased reporting already. Whatever AV News, AV Club. I think this comes from these people up here. I think it's tied to the Onion, but they do. I don't know. But let's see. American politics took a nasty and painful, if not unprecedented, lurch toward Gilead this week. Gonna find out what that means. When Georgia Governor Brian Kemp signed the bill, that's terrifying shit. Oh, he's edgy because he's using shit in his article. Ooh, what's your name? William Hughes? Ooh, you're so cool. You shit. Why don't you use fuck? Well, wait, let's give him a chance. He might just do that. And then very anti-Semitic expression, wide variety of dismayed, outraged, and just plain scared reactions to the news. Now, actress Alyssa Milano, a vocal proponent of Me Too movement and a prominent voice in calling for Hollywood to exercise its inconsiderable power in the state to resist the bill, has gone historical in her desire for protest, calling for a sex strike until the bill is repealed. Okay. Sex strikes or sex boycotts have long storied history in annals. Yeah, so there's this Greek play, Listeria, where the two warring cities, they wanted to force men to stop, so they had a sex strike. So let's stop right there and talk about that. So when you deny a man sex, the legal response is just to accept it and or fire off a couple knuckle children, because, hey, that's going to happen. Because just like women can handle it themselves, men can handle it themselves. So I don't see what I'm going to restrict sex from you. Okay, honey. Not a problem. Bye. Again, it just seems kind of a dumb thing to do, because you don't really need the opposite sex, or you don't. So, and like, for instance, if you're in a lesbian relationship, you really don't need the other person. But again, this isn't really talking about a gay relationship, say man on man or female on female. This is a male-female relationship, whatever that entails. So, what a poorly written article too, because this isn't. You never start off a sentence with "because." Dipshit. This is an issue discussing feminism, sex, and abortion, a real holy trinity of shit. Oh, God, this guy. But this guy's a douche canoe. She went out about line laws, call for a topic, blah blah blah. Oh, here's the good part. Now, apparently, when you're woke, you have to be woke. I'm talking about capitals WOKE. If you're not woke enough, you get this sort of backlash. It says, in parentheses, Milano has apologized to trans people for failing to note in her initial tweet that ladies and vaginas aren't necessarily synonymous. They are, biologically speaking. Anyways, in any case, conversation successfully started, which is presumably the point in the first place. When I was casting out, what a garbage article. He had to use shit twice in it. That's the hallmark of a really good reporter, and whatever, this freaking clown. Now we go to more to the right side. Fox News. Here's the headline. Alyssa Milano calls for sex strike in response to Georgia's anti-abortion law, gets brutally mocked, which is fairly true. Love Kennedy. She's awesome. Even though she's middle of the road, she's level-headed, and I like what she does. She's good stuff. I remember her back in the late 80s, early 90s when she's on MTV. So we get back to taking the cue from the literature of ancient Egypt. The new abortion law, 6 weeks of pregnancy, got that. Critics of this religion argue that many women don't discover they're pregnant in 6 weeks. Fair assessment. Entertainment industry in particular is resting over the Georgia law because many of the films and TV shows are made in there because it's popular and the tax incentives. But while some Hollywood are calling boycott of Georgia, Milano is calling for a boycott of sex. And then we read that part. This is getting to the real good part. So others mocked her, and the abstinence would likely be endorsed by Vice President Mike Pence. He would, because he's very religious. So this wacko Kate Kelly blue checkmark douche canoe, yes, cis men need to feel the physical consequences of our whatever. Then Frances Fisher. Well, that'll be easy for me. I'm not sure why. Maybe she's lesbian. Maybe I don't know. I have no idea who that person is. But if it's a blue check mark, you bet your bottom dollar they're probably a terrible person. In my opinion, of course. Mary McDonnell. It's Listrata time. Whatever. Caleb Hall. Clears throat. Mike Pence loved this idea. Jerry Dunleavy. Voluntarily reducing the number of potential abortions to own the pro-lifers. God dang my dog. Whoops. We couldn't access this tweet. Cuts to Mike Pence nodding vigorously. Peter J. Hansen. Anyways, okay. Here's from National Review, another, which I assume is another right-leaning paper. Alyssa Milano calls for sex strike to protest pro-life law. This is probably the best, out of the ones I've seen, the best headline. Okay, you go to the talk about it in response. A few feminists and a male feminist. There we go. You see, you're really only hurting the male feminist and ones who, quote-unquote, ally with the feminism, the third wave feminism. Are we in the fourth wave? I don't know. But, so effective voice, right? I'm suggesting it's intriguing for at least a few reasons, not at least of which is the fact that she's urging women to exercise bodily autonomy as means of proving they're being denied the ability to do so. The abortion rights movement spends an enormous amount of energy insisting that no one ever uses abortion as emergency contraception. Yet Melania was clearly admitting that that's the case. Not only that, but groups such as Planned Parenthood and NARAL base much of their activism on assertion that abstinence education is entirely ineffective. The birth control methods, if used properly, will never result in unwanted pregnancy that ends in an abortion. Yeah. But in articulating the rationale for the sex strike, Milano concedes the obvious fact that abstaining from sex is the only guaranteed way to avoid pregnancy, and thus to avoid a situation where a woman wants an abortion. I mean, if you don't want to have a kid, the best way is not having sex. I mean, that's just logic. So, her campaign also exposes modern feminism's deeply flawed view of the relationship between men and women, seeing sex first and foremost as bargaining chip or a form of power that women hold over men. Yeah, I guess, as if thought to function primarily or even solely as a reward for men, that women should withhold a means of getting what they want, affirming and promoting that the very anti-woman premise that feminists claim to oppose. And that, like the overwhelming majority of activists who champion expansive abortion rights, Milano entirely ignores the existence of pro-life women, including those who were involved in passing the Georgia Heartbeat Bill, who presumably want to be swayed or affected whatsoever by this boycott. Yeah. Exactly. And then he concludes here, finally, there's a considerable irony in the fact that after 5 decades, feminism has come back around to where social conservatives were standing the entire time. But now they believe that, in pushing their boycott, they're somehow being transgressive. Wow. So, I don't think Miss Milano really thought this through. But like most woke people, if you will, they just don't think it through. So, I guess in conclusion, I would say, 1, she didn't think it through. 2, this only affects the left side of the political spectrum of the woke male and female, the woke male feminist allies, and the feminists, the women, and apparently men with vaginas. Apparently that's a thing now. If you're transgender, I this is like Clown World. I won't do the honk honk sound, but good God, it's just weird, man. Every day I'm sorry, the National Review. It's Alexandra DeSanctis. Yeah, it wasn't a person, male person. I assume, I don't know anymore. But I just every day I wake up, and there's just some crazy things in the news that I don't even just want to talk about, just because oh, here we go again. And that's what I keep saying every time. It's like, oh, here we go again. It's just I don't know. So, here on my webcam, I was gonna point this out before I go. This right here in the right hand corner. This is a book by Herbert Butterfield called The Whig Interpretation of History. I've been meaning to go over that and spend about, I don't know, depending on everyone's. I might do like a short version of it and then actually a long version of it. But it's very interesting. It's how, bottom line, it's basically, when you look back in history, and you see this a lot, people will condemn the past while they're sitting firmly in the 21st century. And they'll say, well, everybody in the Middle Ages was just a dumb idiot, a bunch of morons. They thought, the earth was flat and this and that. And what? And you got to understand, while some people may have thought it was flat, a lot of people knew the world was round. Even the Greeks knew it, 4,000 or 5,000 years ago? But the point is that condemning the past while you're sitting entrenched in the future, using your morals and the laws and the social norms of the present and try to condemn the past with it, it's not really fair. It's kind of dumb. But anyways, having said that, I was going to end this here. So yeah, Miss Milano, just stop. You look like a complete moron. And whatever. Just stop. You're just making it worse for yourself. But again, I don't want you to stop, because just the stupidity that rains from your mouth, it's too much. It's like a train wreck. You can't take your eyes off of it. Moron.